that we're doing government officials a favor when we elect them, and they're doing us a favor by giving us, handouts, right? So is the spoil system. You help me, we elect you almost like a present to you, and then you're in position where I can come to you and ask for assistance. Meanwhile, in this country, it is I'm electing you to make life for not just me but the entire environment better. And when you fail to do that, you get booted out, right? So when it comes to teaching, and so it's the same concept, same reverse psychology here. When it comes to teaching, when you walk in a room and say half of you guys are going to fail, you already fail as a teacher.
Yep.
We take pride in overcoming whatever it is. That's why here we have all the special needs program. Special needs could be kids who are exceptional students, who are brilliant,
Yes.
right? That means is it's just I'm just drawing a blank right now how it's called, but you scaffold in your own room, right?
Yes.
It's
Mm,
called differentiated learning. Okay,
yes.
so you have to teach different kids at different pace, same material, but some with more details, some need a little more scaffolding,
Hmm.
um, some with language barriers that has nothing to do with the intelligence, but how the phonetics is different from where they come from, and you got to teach
Yes.
them about phonemes and how their language is connected. You have to be culturally responsive. That
Hmm.
means you have to code switch right in the middle of it. So teaching is an art, right? So, and the reason why the best teachers are labeled the best teachers is because they're able to perform all those different acrobatics in a row to make sure almost all of the kids pass. That's
Your
what's called no.
abilities are up and down, not just up and down. You got to be middle between all of that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And then you had to do the acrobatics, right? And
Right.
so when they said no child left behind, they literally
Hmm.
meant that. Because the brain, the mind, especially for a child, the developing mind can take on any load based on their preparation. So
Right.
your job is how do I get this soil fertile so I can plant as much seeds and plant on it. And that's what the mind is for kids. So we actually take pride in making sure that all of our children pass, right? All of our children not just pass with the scores, but obtain mastery and yes, efficiency, but then mastery of whatever subject you are teaching. So to say half of you guys are going to fail, that mindset should not be a mindset of any educator, any coach, any leader of anywhere at all. And the fact that that's a prevailing mindset in our culture just tells us we have so much work to do and so much to change if we're going to have the country that we all will be proud of, the country that we look up to. Um, a country that we all be proud of, country that we want to take our kids back to actually watch them thrive and grow, a
Right.
country that will prepare our children to compete with the outside world and our neighbors, even our next door neighbors. We just need a whole new change of a lot of things in Liberia.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, we just navigated into that. Then, and this will take us to our conversation for today. Um, you know, I was just going through last night. I was a guest speaker at the Kimatini's National Convention, and I was talking about the role of the diaspora, and it kind of amazed me how we were thinking to some degree on the same path when we had a conversation this morning. We were like, we have to talk about this. What is our role? How do we impact our nation? How do we be the change that we seek? And that's what we want to talk about it today. How has other people done it? I know people will come and say this is not a we because we are educator, our approach to things may not be the way like we would understand it. Okay, it may be slow pace, it may be too deep, but what we're asking you is take the time, pay attention, because what we have done in our lifetime is take the time to understand the word that have failed, where was the cause of their failure, and those that have succeeded, where are the reason, the cause, the foundational strength that got them where they are today. How are they different from us? So that's what we're going to talk about, our role, how we set the tune. How does that change Liberia? Liberia is a small country. Liberia is not even a percentage of the billion people in the world. Okay. Nigeria next to us had 230, I think around 250 million in population. So you hear Nigerian name because they're bigger population. Okay. So if you put Nigerian out here, okay, we will literally be like the sand that you have to fill in between. They will be the bigger one that you see. But you know what? We may be small, but we can be powerful. Look at Singapore, okay? They are almost the population as us. Their land is smaller, but how are they living? So that's what we want to talk about today. Peter, you can go ahead and let's
Yeah.
begin. Start
So
us. Yeah.
So it goes back to the whole scaffolding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we talked about how do you get Liberians in the role of diaspora, and you said, well, they might have they see things differently. Of course they did, because of course they do, because we grew up in a different culture. It's a different culture than here, right? Just like we saw things differently until we got exposed to stuff. Just like people, British people, Liberians who live there would see things differently than those who live in America. It's not similar. So we do need to, just like we talked about differentiated learning, different audiences needs to be talked to in different manner. So we reach them. The goal is to reach them. The question is, how do we reach them? And that takes some introspection, that takes studying, that takes information that we need to have, we must have, if we're going to reach our people. And because our people have to be reached, because if they're not reached, then everything's going to stay the same the way it is. Okay, so when we talked about the role of diaspora and what we should do, I usually it takes me back to thinking about the foundation of the first modern democracy, which is the United States democracy, which is um, the United States, okay, America, the world first modern democracy. Um, when this democracy was being structured, they first had what was called confederations, which is every state was like an African country. Every state was its own country. They had their own money, their own governors, and that's what I look at Liberia as, Africa as right now. All those presidents should really be governors, because in America they have what's called the federal system, and the federal system is a system where there are three government functions at the same time, which is the national, the state government, the local government. So Liberia is a unilateral government, right? Unitary government. So we have one government, but it's no different. So when we talk about how to reach Liberians and how that will work out, I look at the American system and I look at the fact that America first had, to this day, have what was called the Electoral College. So let me talk about what the Electoral College was and why it was even created. Um, in America, the citizens do not get to vote for presidents, and I say that and it shocked a lot of people. A lot of times, people who don't understand governments from a high school level, right? As basic as in high school, you learn that you don't get to vote for president. Whenever I say that, that just means popular votes don't matter. America created a system based on population called the Electoral College. What the Electoral College does is when a state votes, so each political party, the two top political parties, have what they call delegates, and they're representative of their political party in that state. Um, each person votes, the majority takes the electoral college number. What's the electoral college number? That is simply representative from that state, selected by the people. These are representing that people trust, that are informed, okay? Because these people are selected based on their ideology and what they know. Their peers pick them. And these are the people who really vote for president. So when you vote in America, you vote for electoral college members. Each state is proportional. Each state has membership allotted to them based on how many people they have. I think it's 750,000 each. You get one vote per 750,000 people, right? So a state like New York would have a bunch of them. Right? I can't hear you. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking.
Can you explain proportional to our people so they can
Yeah, that's
understand? I'm putting
yeah.
this on YouTube too.
Yeah. Okay. So proportional voting just means, and that's what I was going to. It's like a ratio. Every 700, I think it's up to 750 something thousand, 700 some, 70 something thousand now. Every time you hit that number, the amount of people in your state, every time they hit that number, and this is how we pick House of Representatives members too, by the way. Every time your state hit 750 something thousand, they give you one vote every time you hit that. So based on how many people live in your state is how many electoral college members you have. What that does is, yes, bigger state like Texas, California, New York, that's why they have up to 15. A small state like Delaware, Rhode Island, they will have like two because their people are a little over 2 million. So just think almost close to a million per vote. Okay.
Right.
The important thing is why. Why can't you just count how many people voted, see who won, and then you just pick the president that way? That's called popular vote, right? The
Hmm.
population vote. They don't do it like that. Well, the historical reason for that was that you need an educated populace to
Populist.
make
Yes.
this extremely important decision.
Hmm.
If you look at what's going on in America right now, this was their greatest fear, right? That the president has so much power, autonomy, even though it's temporary, but he's almost like a king that if he wanted to abuse that power, he certainly can and take advantage of those people. And
Hmm.
remember, the people who created this country came from tyranny, right? They
Yes.
created this country based on for religious
Hmm.
reasons.
And they didn't want another king. Yep.
Yes. They got torture. If you go back all the way to the Spanish Inquisition, when people being tortured for religious reasons, this is why we have the first 10 amendments to the Constitution's all personal liberty amendments. Okay. Those are individual rights. Those came from the right to remain silent because they used to beat you until you told on yourself, until you
Yep.
admitted to something you didn't do. They used to torture people. The Eighth Amendment, you can no longer do that. They used to go into your property, just come in your house and just search your stuff. The Fourth Amendment, you cannot protect you against searches and seizures. The Second Amendment, if you try to bully me, I have a gun. You have a right to a gun in America, even though
Yes.
that amendment is bad. The First Amendment, freedom of speech, that was very important. You couldn't speak freely, like kind of like we have now. Freedom of the press, you couldn't ask questions to the government. They had to put that down there, right? All these things in freedom of religion, you are free to worship the way you want or not worship at all. It wasn't like that before. So the point I'm making is they made sure that the president was very powerful because when people have all these freedom, they tend to abuse it. So you need a powerful person who's not going to bully the people with his power. So therefore, they wanted to pick a measured leader, like a father, not just a father with empathy and love for his kids. Okay, a person who, like Plato would say, a philosopher king. So someone who was very intelligent, but also emotionally very intelligent and
Intelligent
yeah, and
and
relation,
principle.
yes, and principle, and, all right, and the person who cared for people have had great empathy. The electoral college was created to make sure that because people were not, when the country first started, these were not the most sophisticated people. They want to make sure they were not going to fall for some charismatic leader who
Hmm.
didn't have those qualities. So what they did was they put a buffer between the presidency and the general public. You guys
Right.
get to vote. However, you can vote for whoever you want. When those people get to DC on January 6th of every year to certify that vote, they could literally say, my state, if the state voted for, say, I don't know, anyone, they voted for Prophet Key, right? Those people can say,
Yes,
they can
exactly.
literally say, my state, although they voted for this person, it's not against the law. The electoral college members can change the vote. They can say, we are going to vote for Barack Obama. And that's fair. And the reason they did that was they figure these really smart people will protect America from having a charismatic leader who got people to vote for the wrong person. And these people will be the correctors, if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. And a lot of people are like, well, get rid of electoral college. We're very educated now. And no, the other argument was the small states, if you got rid of the electoral college, then as a leader, as someone who's vying to be president, I would only campaign in big states. And the big states would, I would do like we do in Liberia. Everyone
Yeah.
catered to Nimba. Everyone built stuff in Nimba because Nimba have a lot of people. This is what will happen. The small states won't matter as much, right? They'll build the
Right.
schools, they'll build the roads, they'll do everything for that place with that's what politicians would do. So because they need every electoral college number, that small number, even if it's two, they
Hmm.
have to cater to those people also. Okay. So
Right.
that's the purpose of electoral college. Now the question is, what does this have to do with anything we're talking about?
We're talking about today. Yes,
why did I go
exactly.
down that whole long rabbit hole? And by the way, my that's how I teach, right? I like giving a background to why, and
It's
I,
good. They
it,
connect. We call it
yeah,
the connectors. Yes.
yeah. My kids tend to retain more information when you do that. You get to have a richer conversation. So forgive me for like just going to what seems to be a tangent, but I'm connected to. I always do. Um, I always try to do that. Why did I go down that whole electoral college road? To have a healthy democracy, you must have an informed populace. When I say an informed populace, that simply means people who understand basic information, understand the importance of medicine, understand the importance of science, understand that a woman cannot give birth to a pig, understand things.
Oh, Peter, you're on top of things. A
Yeah,
woman cannot give birth to a pig.
yeah, yeah,
It's
that
not
doesn't.
possible. Yes,
Or
exactly.
or a sheep prophet key. You can't give birth to a sheep. Yo, twin could not be a sheep. People who don't who knows that that's scientifically impossible to happen, right? So these people will then have to understand because we don't forget this is a marketplace. This whole world is a global marketplace.
It is
We're gonna
indeed.
compete with other people, and we're gonna raise kids, and we're gonna make policy decisions that affect if a child from Liberia can go to China and do business and intellectually compete with those people, or come to the United States or go to Australia or England and actually speak on that level on panels on tables and be respected. So we have to educate and put stuff in the minds. Those people will know that the level of sophistication of the person who we're picking to be a leader, the ultimate policymakers, and those policymakers will pick the right people close to good, right? They might not get it right all the time, but
Right.
the probability of them getting it right will be higher because they
Right.
just know stuff. I'm not a government person, but I studied it, right?
Right.
I'm not a medical person, but I understand the importance of vaccination.
Right.
I know to do research when I don't know stuff, and I know how to do the research, and I know what's credible or what's not because I'm educated, right? So even if I don't know about road safety, and there's something that's coming in my town, and someone says, "Well, there's going to be a mudslide because I don't have this," I know to research that and to find more information. People who
Right.
are not informed wouldn't do that. So you need an informed populace to pick the better leaders that will get your country out of poverty. The diasporan, because of their exposure to what's possible, has to stand in that in that on the wall. and they have to be in the vanguard. They have to be the ones who say, nope, it is possible to have public education. It is possible to have social welfare programs that cater to the needs of our people. No, it is important that we have Liberians run the economy of Liberia because
Yeah.
um, the country I live in, Americans, it's Americanization, it's America first, and they see how things are because we've been exposed to things. Our people might not see that. They might think like, oh, it's no big deal having the Lebanese run everything, the Indians. No, there's a huge deal with that. Okay. So we need people, the diasporans, because of their exposure. They need to be more proactive into government. They need to make decisions, and they are the ones who are supposed to spark the healthy debate as to who and what should lead us and why. Okay.
Thank you, Peter. So with that in mind, what is our role? That's why we want to start on that journey. Okay. Um Today, and I can bring this to bear, Ethiopia has sanctions from almost everywhere because they're refusing to adhere to the rest of the international community per se. But it's literally being built by the diaspora. Okay. And somebody will say, but you're sitting there, you're not just no. They have to see there is a plan. How do we play our role, Peter, in this arena to make the difference that need to be made? Because we have traveled. I always say, and I said that last night in my speech, diasporan Liberians are the middle class of Liberia never created. And for any nation to thrive, that nation needs a middle class. How can we leverage the gift that have been given to us that as a nation that was not earned? How do we leverage that to build the nation?
Well, that's why it's a gift, right? Yeah, Cindy. Yeah, some gifts are earned, but a lot of gifts are like grants; they're not earned, right? So you get the gift. Um, I want to take a step back before I answer that question. How can we tap into that? This is part of the reason why I am very, very animated when it comes to what I call conversational terrorist. Um, Let me define what I mean by conversational terrorist. Right, I'm I'm unrelenting when it comes to my approach to conversational terrorist. Here are who conversation terrorists are. There are people who do not allow the conversation to happen. They don't. They don't. They don't. They don't want Liberians to talk like this. Right? Hello. Yeah. They don't allow us to debate any kind of issues. Right? Um, they don't see the importance of a robust argument. They will come and insult. They will come and shift the focus. They will come and they will just come and just muddy the water, right? And they will just go to ad hominem. And I think those people are extremely dangerous because the only thing that wins out in the world and moves the world forward are facts, right? The only way we can put facts on the table is if we literally debate it. The whole world became better, got better because of information and facts that came out, right? Where the sun goes at night, people didn't know that. That the earth rotated around the sun, people didn't know that. People thought the earth was flat, you could fall off. We didn't know about planets, we didn't know about the germ theory. We didn't know that there was germs. We used to think they were plagues from gods. We didn't know about human body parts. Okay, we didn't know about medicine. We didn't know about a lot of things, right? We didn't know about technology. All those things came about after what was called the scientific revolution. The point I'm making is we have to allow the conversation to happen. And anyone that takes away from people having a conversation, those people needs to be weeded out, or else we don't get better and the conversation does not happen. Okay. So when you ask how can the diaspora, what role can the diaspora play? I go back to asking if the diaspora don't play a role in knowing what they know and bringing that to the table, what's the worst that can happen? Well, there are people right now who says Joseph Boyka is doing well. He's doing well. Then you ask them, like, I'll give you 10 things. They'll start telling you, oh, we don't have people dying. We don't have auditors being killed. He's making roads. By the way, the roads are horrible right now. Going to Grand Jita, just going to the southeast is horrible, right? Going to Maryland, that road is horrible. But anyway, again, facts. Just let's just put the facts on the table. Nothing emotional, just facts. The roads are bad. Okay, they were talking about he's building roads. He's going to build a hotel. He's going to build the overpass bridge. He's buying cars. The problem is the people who are saying those things and saying them as improvements or making a country better. There's no way those people understood how other nations were built. No way. Because that's not how you do it. No one's saying roads are not important. No one's saying the overpass bridge does not add value to the country. No one says that. Okay. What every other nation did was they first came up with a vision that they shared with everyone. And they used technocrats to come up with that vision and the vision, why they believed the vision will work. Even places like South Korea's vision was not even believed by the United States because they lacked the vision of what South Korea was trying to do when it came to their steel production and their producing of ships and things like that. Okay, and microchips. They didn't believe that South Korea could accomplish that. And South Korea knew all they had to do was invest in its people, and the minds of their people will certainly make this stuff real. When you look at what they say that Joseph Boyka is doing, he is literally doing like his predecessor. He's just spending money. He's buying cars for LDEA, buying cars for everyone. He's painting buildings. He's not doing things. He's not creating a STEM school, things that will actually move the country forward. He's not doing foreign investment. He's not talking about sovereign wealth fund, where how he's going to infuse cash from out of the country into our country because we don't have the critical masses for a thriving local economy. He's not doing anything to show how he's going to get Liberians to compete against the foreigners who monopolize the business sectors. He's not fighting monopolies. He's not speaking as a person who understands the role that Africa and Liberia plays in a global marketplace. He's not doing anything that foundational thing that you need to grow a country, to get a country out of the dirt. He's not economically empowering our young people. He's not protecting our old people. Okay, he's breaking down homes. He wants to widen the road. I don't know how that brings $1 into the country.
Right.
He's buying yellow machines to build more roads instead of finding ways to do things that's going to get money to turn the country into a business. He isn't doing that. Okay. And that's what every country did. Okay. He's not creating laws that protect investors in the country like Rwanda did. He's not creating courts to say that your land cannot be stolen and we're going to have a task force to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. He's not doing things to invite the diasporans to Liberia. He had a conference in DC, but it's all lip service. because there are other people who have invested. You haven't gone above and beyond or show that you're passionate about making sure that those investments shouldn't have gone in vain. He didn't do that. So the foundational things that needs to happen, Yasendi, he hasn't done. He's not doing. So it doesn't. All he's doing is spending money. It's like someone who doesn't have a job, who's now okay. You don't have a job and you own a home, but you don't have a job, and he's like, okay, instead of saying, all right, I need to save the little money I have, I don't have a car to get to work. So even if I get a job, I can't get to work. So I'm gonna get a car or I'm gonna get a motorcycle. Or I'm gonna get some way a pass to get on public transportation. So let me make sure I can get to work. Let me make sure I get a suit for the interview. Right? He's not doing those things. He's talking about I'm gonna paint the house green. And I'm gonna put long chairs in the backyard so in the summertime when my friends come over we can hang out. That's what he's doing. He's not doing things that's gonna generate money, okay? Because he doesn't know how. So the role that diasporans can play is to first allow the robust debate to happen, the honest debate to happen, and number two, to pressure those people who are lawmakers, okay, to say that this is not how to educate themselves on how the other nations were built, right? So there was a kid saying, even in America, the people didn't cry for development. Like, kid, and he's called Joseph Boykott's son. Like, kid, you are literally embarrassing. Get off TikTok. You're embarrassing our country. You're embarrassing your
Yeah,
so-called.
that dude.
Yeah,
I don't even want to be. I can be
you
nasty,
are
but I'm not gonna go there
you
with
are
him.
embarrassing everyone because that's not how any country was built. That's not how America built. Like people were craving for development. No, they didn't do it like that. The government literally gave people land grants and give them tax breaks, and the educated populace to give people um, educated workers, and that's how you do it. You invest in the people. You don't do what you're doing, and the investment happened because the people built the country. Okay, so when a person, oh, he's like, oh, look at Ghana and Ghana. What's Ghana's GDP? What's the average? Ghana is not who I'm trying to compare myself to. Okay, they're struggling themselves. They're still trying to figure it out. The point of the matter I'm making is this kid didn't educate himself at all, and it's okay to be uninformed and just be loud. The
Mhm.
diasporans need to confront a person like that. Before we do that, we need to educate ourselves. And we don't know and we think something is a certain way. Let's ask questions. Let's have a honest dialogue and learn how things came about. Not just sit there and act like we know things that we don't. We clearly do not know. And
Right.
we're so proudful that the humility needs to come in. Okay. That's the first thing I would think the diasporans do. Inform themselves on how other nations are built. And if you don't, ask questions, ask a bunch of questions, to be humble, to learn and challenge people and say, if you prove this to me, and then that's the first thing we need to do before we hold the government accountable, and then we need to have the honest conversation to begin with.
Okay, Peter. So let me bring
I can't
mine to
see
this.
you.
You can see me? Oh, okay. So let me come in here quickly and bring this to the table. I like what you said. Let's clothe ourselves with knowledge. That's what Peter said. Clothe yourself with knowledge. Let's clothe ourselves with knowledge. Let us close on knowledge, even if we are in the diaspora. Now, in the case of Liberia, first, the tone must be set. Okay. That's the same that goes that trust. Trust is what? Trust is the uh, currency of recovery. When the nation like Liberia suffered the way it has, the leadership must first set the tune. They must be believable. Okay. Justice should be the currency. Okay. For us to follow. And now, those of us in the diaspora, how do we play our role, starting with building a nation? I think, Peter, you just talked about land, people taking their land, and you no protection for businesses. You can register a business in Rwanda in 6 hours. It will be legal. Everything will be done. And you don't have to go to Rwanda. You can do it online. Uh, uh, Kenya is trying the same thing. Ghana is doing the same thing. Okay? Now, for me, the role that I believe the diaspora can play is not to be divisive. It's offer expertise, a balanced approach, steering the nation in the best possible direction. Like for instance, we have bunch of people who yesterday were out with us protesting, asking for accountability, asking for transparency, asking for job creation. The very people packed their things, went to Liberia. They're the one on Facebook attacking everyone if we say something. These are not experts. Okay. Most of them are not specializing in an area. Okay. The Liberian diaspora who are specialized, the government, if you ask me, must be comfortable enough to tap into the wealth of knowledge that others have acquired. Okay. Saudi Arabia did that. They were not even looking forward to bringing Saudi Arabians because they didn't have that kind of population in the diaspora. Oh, Peter, I will stop here. I see somebody really handsome walking my house. What's that, sweetheart? Oh, you. You're home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you smell good. He plays basketball. That's coach right there. Noah? No, that's a coach right here. But he's not a basketball coach, he's a football coach. Yeah. Your brother played football. Yes. He also used to be at Brown University in Rhode Island. Yeah, but he's not there anymore. Peter, you still over there? You're not there anymore.
No, I'm no longer.
Sorry, guys. When our children walk in, we got to make the time. They're on campus, so when I see them, I'm like totally my face just be.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Peter.
No. I think you're right, and again, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It goes back to the you said the people who left it, they're not experts. Well,
yes.
It will be tough to go back. If you look at the type of people who serve in government, right? There are people who probably already have an established business. These people have already made it in life. The people going back to our government from here, from diaspora, they almost have to be conversation terrorists. I think I shared something with you.
Yeah, you did before. Conversational terrorists. Let's talk about that. Why we are where we are, Peter. Go ahead.
So Mo Ali has gotten in the budget $6 million in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. 6 million
besides the grant and stuff that international community get. Yes. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
6 million United States dollars. 6 million. Muhammad Ali, that should be selling Tipotel on the side of the road. He got 6 million. No accountability. No one can. He said he did a water purification center.
Boho.
Boho for $250,000.
Boho for $250,000.
Something that would have cost less than 10 grand to make.
Yes.
No accountability. I mentioned that to say that it makes sense why these people are conversational terrorists and dismissive, right? Because if they're not dismissive, if they aren't conversational terrorists, that means blow up the conversation so the conversation ends. It isn't had. Mo Ali will have to answer for the $6 million. Like, where's the money? Not to count how much money he got in revenue from running that department, that agency, right? The water and soup. So this man's getting filthy rich, strictly based off of grafting. Okay, when I say grafting, that means taking money that doesn't belong to him.
Stealing.
Yes, like
Stealing.
literally inflating prices for things that like low level corruption stuff that happens in every third world country, in every emerging democracy, right? It happened even in the United States. It's just a low level scamming, right? This man's going to be a millionaire, and the problem is, after his timing in government is done, he's going to leave, and he doesn't have to worry about it anymore, right? The people who left here, the Stephen Johnsons of the world, well, the George Lobos, what were they doing here? Like, why would they not go to Liberia? If they live here, they're gonna peak at $70,000 a year. They're gonna make 65 grand a year. That's it, right? And
We wasn't
they
even
don't
making that. They weren't even making that.
exactly. But I'm saying, just think about that, right? As a grown man with a family, right? You're gonna
Right.
mightily struggle if that's what you're making, right? Or you can go back to Liberia and do what you do. Now, why would someone who's making more leave here? For you to make that to make six figures plus here, your level of education has to be high.
Yeah.
You have to be very vested in your career, whatever it is. You have to be at the top level of your career. That means you can't leave for 6 years. So it's a major sacrifice to do that. Okay. So the people who should be leaving wouldn't leave because Liberia doesn't give you incentive to leave a career that you're thriving in, because you have to be thriving to make six figures plus. So now we get in the third tier people, and these people are not the best people. So they become conversation terrorists. And I keep saying that because the conversation terrorists are people who will blow up the argument. Like, they will make sure the conversation doesn't happen. They will come in and say things. They'll be dismissive. They will block people because they're not comfortable having a real conversation, asking them questions, asking them, why did it cost that much to build that? And let's look at the numbers without just saying, look, you see, look, you see why I'm moving the paper around, right? And ask a person like George Lobo, let's talk about economic growth in emerging democracies. Where the strategy that you're using, first of all, articulate that strategy. What informs that strategy? Where has it worked before? They would not let that happen, right? They'll rather come and say, oh, you're rude, or you this, you just saying it because it's Cummings. Cummings will never win election. They would just talk about anything that but what you guys are talking about. And it happens over and over and over again. These are low level people. So when they go back home, and a person like George Lobo with his fake American accent that gives me a headache just listening to him, right?
Oh,
And try to
yeah.
pretend like he has some sophistication about what he's talking about. The other day, the guy mentioned Arizona State University and said, I have
Yeah, over 700,000 or yes, is there what 70,000 student? I'm like, what? 70,000?
yeah, but he's talking about when he says that, he's literally talking about the online students, right? He's counting that. But he did not say he went to Arizona State University, right? He did not say he graduated from Arizona State University, or that he knows what he was educated at Arizona State University.
Mm-hmm.
He literally said something. He muddied the water. He goes, interest in finance at Arizona State University. The reason he says that and said in that way, right? He was very careful how he said it, because he wanted to give a perception of being informed when he's not. These are the people that go back to run our government. These are the people that we're literally making, we're allowing to set policies for us. And
Mm-hmm.
those people have to be very careful not to talk to people who knows that they're playing a con game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
con game, and you're insulting our overall, our general intelligence when you do that. You worked at a bank. That's what you did. You got a job that any high school graduate would get. Do not mention Arizona State University and say
A
interest.
bank. I work at a call center.
Yes. Yeah. There's no, don't do that. Don't There's nothing wrong with not being college educated, but don't. The fact that you're mentioning a university tells you that you see the value in getting that information being taught by published peer-reviewed professors. That matters. And when you say those things, is you're trying to con our people, okay? And you can't call them on it because they're run, dodge, and hide. And there are people who provide cover for them. Just like the person that called President Joseph Boycott. He has Kansas State University on his thing. You did not go to Kansas State University. Even if back in
And
the
he
day,
took it out. Yep.
yeah,
They are just liars. Yep. Mhm.
even if back in the day the government of Liberia and Kansas State allowed people to come from third countries, just like Harvard University does, to capacity build, you don't have a degree from there. Why are you pretending like you do? Okay, this is hurting people because what you're doing is you're muddying the water from real experts. And the biggest reason why I hate these conversation terrorists is because the decent people in our community, our society, are sending the actual experts. When they see these people mind cussing and pod cussing and literally doing what they did to Mr. Cummings, they're like,
Mhm.
I'm not getting involved in that.
I'm not getting involved. I'm
In
not
that
putting my life on
filth.
the line.
Yeah, I'm not going to get involved in that filth. So now the people that can actually help us step away. And that's not okay. It's hurting the country. It's hurting the country. So the diasporans, how do they get involved, Yasendi? And you talk about us not sending our best. Yeah, because our best, the environment has not even been created where our best can come up and raise their hands, be like, I disagree. I have a point. Can I make it? And have people listen, because we have conversation terrorists and con men and charlatans who will shout you down. And I refuse to let that happen. And some people have an issue with it. Not only do I refuse to let that happen, I live for that confrontation. I can speak with you intellectually, or if you want to do a shout man, because this is a fight for the souls of Liberians. We can't. It's not going to be convenience. There's no comfort in real competition. There's never going to be comfort in real competition. So those of us, second thing the diaspora can do is prepare to be uncomfortable. Prepare for them to say things about you that they say about other people, and for them to look to dehumanize you and degrade you and try to shame you and embarrass you. You have to be like, we need people who are willing to fight, or else we're not going to change things, because we need a revolution. And when I say a revolution, I just mean a complete change in the way our governments run, our countries run. And there is no government outside, no revolution outside the Brazilian Revolution, which was the country just being given to the son of the king. So that was not a true revolution, because he was what was called a Peninsularis. But there's no revolution that was bloodless. And it doesn't have to be actual blood, but I mean, it's going to be scrimmages. It'll be verbal. It doesn't have to be physical, but there's going to be discomfort there, and we should be willing to stand in that on that spot on the wall.
So Peter, let's start out this way.
I still can see you.
let's go this way. What should be our initial stand as the diasporan? I know 2017 there was a debate which we did not attend. Waka attended it, Bronsky attended it, Alexander Cummings attended it. What's his name? You attended it. And that's when Alexander Cummings actually introduced himself. Okay. And I remember Bronsky and Kwali in the Dark Horse. Where did he come from? Here. The last election, they refused to have a debate. Okay. What will you, I think it starts with conversation. It starts with asking the question, why, how, where, when. Where do we start from? How? And instead of oh my okay, Peter going, I gotta get a charger. Mine is low.
Okay, so I can let me jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I was waiting for you to get here a long time, Yasendi. It starts with a conversation, but it starts with an honest conversation, and it has to be an honest conversation, right? Um, Again, if you look at how the society in the world evolved, we did not make progress until truth was introduced. When I say truth, I'm talking about the scientific revolution. Before that, the world was an abysmal place to live. People killing each other based on belief. Okay, people not seeing each other as strangers. It's not like this world that we have now where everything is interconnected and we have this global community. It wasn't like that. People were just, I'm talking about people within the same country, within the same radius of each other, 3 miles radius, will kill each other's family member based on beliefs and religious beliefs or some sectarian beliefs. And it was brutal until the advent of these people called skeptics. Skeptics are people who says maybe we should ask questions and prove things before we set a government around that. I'm very careful when I mention America being the world's first modern democracy. I'm very careful when I say those words. There's a reason why I say it like that. Okay. Because America was not the first democracy. Okay. We had,
You qualify though. You said modern democracy.
yes. And I'm
Yes.
careful to say modern because you like the ancient Greeks and Romans were democratic, right? It was
Right.
different. They were democratic. They didn't have as many people. Like it was land owning nobles who was voting, but it was
Right.
still a form of democracy. Um, I'm careful to say that, right? That America is the world's first modern democracy. The reason I mention America being the world's first modern democracy is because America was born out of what was called the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment was a time period in which people literally said we need to not have religion be a government. That's what
Mm-hmm.
separation of church and state was the first
Mm-hmm.
amendment of the American Constitution to protect the people. Okay, the protection of and freedom from religion. There was no country before that was not run by some religious creed. America was the first to say we're going to be a secular state. That had nothing to do with God or religion. It just had to do with let's try things differently. Let's see if people if this was an experiment. Let's see if people would thrive. Okay, um, truth. The scientific revolution was truth. The scientific revolution was just simply following what was called a scientific process. If you make a claim, Yasendi, make sure you're able to show me how you came up with that. You said 2 + 2 is 4. You got to come and show me grab the broomstick, cut the little things, and show me how 2 + 2 is 4, and show me how you did the experiment. And I must be able to duplicate that before we say, oh, what Yasendi said is actual facts. We just had to follow a process to prove it. You can't say, oh, angels came down and did this, and you can't prove it. The government cannot support it. When the world went to what was called a scientific method, Yasendi,
Mm-hmm.
the world got better. Okay, medicine got better. We got surgeons, we got doctors. You remember now, doctors were killed when the world used to be very religious. Doctors were murdered because it said they were being Satan. They were worshiping the devil. Why would you cut someone open when surgeons were learning the human body parts? So people, right? That's what the whole Bavarian Illuminati came from, where people were hiding to learn to understand how the human body worked, right? But because of that information, this is why we have surgeries now. We have hospitals. We have CT machines, right? That was all born out of the scientific revolution. I'm keep saying that. So a country was built around the fact of let's not have beliefs, let's have facts. For Liberia to move forward, Yasendi, we need facts. We need truth tellers, and we need truth tellers to be protected. You need
Hold
to
you
live.
talk, Peter. I need to read this to you and tell me. You're talking about truth. A gentleman wrote yesterday, and I had an opportunity to come across it on social media because somebody posted it. Her name is Siako or something like that. Okay, and wrote, there comes a time in a nation life when even the educator must admit defeat, not because they have failed, but because the system reward failure. That dejected look on the general face capture the exact moment when competence meets political deployment and logic meets the stability of power. Here is a man with BTech in policing, MBA, an LLB, national diploma in police administration, and is an admitted attorney of the High Court forced to answer questions from a parliament that confuses noise for intellect. Hmm? What we saw in that courtroom was not was not governance. It was performance, a threat, a theater of sponsored by taxpayer. This is the crisis of Africa, not lack of education, not lack of talent, but the deliberate exclusion of capable minds from the position of influence, political deployment that has become the new apartheid in separate. It separates the lawyer from the qualified. It replaces thinker from followers and silences those who still believe in merit. In such a country, education no longer inspired, it humiliates because the child in the time she sees the truth that the man who writes, who wrote all, I'm sorry, the man who read all the books sit jobless, while the one who shout the loudest slogan drives the government car. When the young people see that power is gained through party loyalty, not through knowledge, they lose faith in school. They drop out, not because they are lazy, but because the system has made ignorance profitable. How do you conceive a young girl in Lepopo to finish metrics when she sees her counselor can't spell governance, yet control millions in the municipal funds? I'm going to stop here.
Yeah. Yeah, Sandy. Again, what are the standards being set? Right. Just look at our country. What What is every kid aspiring to be?
A
Speaking of Mr.
politician.
Yeah, speaking of Mr. Cummings, he said something that was extremely profound in one of the meetings. He said, in America, Americans are weird, but so are Liberians. And this is so true when you think about it. He said, in America, people aspire people aspire to be people aspire to be rich at some point. Everyone's like, yo, one day I'll be rich. Don't tax the rich. I think I too can get there. Okay? Don't punish the rich. Even though socialism is the best form of government. It's just better for everybody's blood pressure. Is taxes is social. The
But that's
tax,
that America got out of the what do you call it, the Great Depression.
yes, it's socialism, right? The
Mhm.
taxation is socialism, right? It's 100% socialism, right? The
Peter,
wealth.
Peter, can you excuse me? My daughter is on her way back on campus. Let me see her off. But continue talking. I'll come back. Go
Okay.
ahead. Continue the show.
The
Yeah.
Yes. So the welfare system is socialism in America. Okay. Anything that we put money into a one pot, a collective pot, um, susu in Liberia will be socialism, right? Just everyone collectively coming together to help everybody on a little bit. Public schools is socialism. Okay. So so that is the best form of government, right? If you really want to look at it outside of, especially when it comes to democratic socialism, like they have in Canada, okay. So when you think about um, what's happening in Liberia or what's happening in the United States, you know that that form of government is what we should be practicing. So what Cummings said was people in the United States, because they have such a capitalistic mindset, they believe that they too can be rich. So because of that, they don't want to tax rich people. They don't want to punish rich people. They don't. They feel like taking money, more money from people who make more, is punishing them. So they don't want to punish people who are rich because they see themselves one day to be rich. In Liberia, the flip side is different. Everyone in Liberia, especially if they're bright, they see themselves being government at some point. And when they're in government at some point, they do what Joseph Boycott did, right? Or what he wants to do. They want to drive a big car. They want to have a convoy. They see themselves one day inspiring to be that. I remember when I was a kid, um, and I still remember like it was yesterday. I used to be in my room before college. I should be doing push-ups and push-ups, just thinking like, envision myself being in the NFL. My friends do the same thing. We'd be on the court, we'd do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shoot the shot. You think you're in the NBA. Every kid dreams of that, right? That's their dream. If someone was to say, "Oh, NBA players or NFL players shouldn't get this or that, whatever," we wouldn't. The kids would be like, "What? No, I think I'm gonna be an NFL player one day. Don't do that. Anything is gonna hurt them." So in Liberia, what they do is they see themselves as one day themselves being a politician. Meanwhile, we need doctors, we need engineers, we need civil engineers, we need everything. We need psychologists, we need teachers, okay? We need constitutional lawyers, we need business people, we need so much. We need architects. There's so many. We need engineers. There's so much to invent, so much to do. Meanwhile, everyone wants to be a politician because that's what they see, and that's what you're reading, Yasendi. That's where that comes from, right? They they see themselves as in government, and that's their greatest ambition and aspiration, not being the best doctor or the person who solves using our using our natural herbs, how who solve the mosquito issues, or how someone who come up with how do you make Liberia green, how do we make get rid of all this mud in every neighborhood, and that those civil engineers, they don't think about stuff like that, right? Everyone aspires to be in politics, into government, right? So that's what that paper is saying. And even the ones who are not the most talented go into it for whatever reason. They might have connections, and then now it kills the ambition of other people who are watching. Be like, man, I don't have to go to college. Maybe I should be a politician. This politician can't even read, and I can read better than him. I too can be rich. I too should have $1 million. I too should be like Mo Ali and steal money. Right? I can do that. Right? How much does it take to do that? Okay, I can be just like he. I could just cuss people and go and say I'm JMB's son. Look at what the people been doing. You got dancing like a freaking slave. Like the things that people made fun of us, just acting like an animal.
Yep.
Like what the white people say, that's like always like dancing and saying things that make no sense, and that's what people aspire to. So why wouldn't they do that? And to me, they're killing so much ambition in the country. Okay. So that write up is literally saying that the best are not into government. And because of the spoils of what they're getting, everyone aspires to be just like them. And why wouldn't they?
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. And that's exactly that. Now let me, I mean, we're talking about our role as diasporan. Peter started with starting the conversation. How the nation have done it. How can we do it? We first talk about information dissemination. We talked about education. I think we started the conversation with we as teacher or educator, we have a responsibility to our children or to our students to do all that we can. Find every strategy. Peter say, what you say? Peter say, moso. What you say?
You gotta do the gymnastics.
We are gymnasts. If you need to stand on your head so they can get it, you do. You know, we come from the verbal lesson to visual, maybe presentation, maybe to different diagrams, whatever we can bring to bear for you to have extra time waiting for them to come to be tutor. Okay. And when people ask why you're so patient, this is where the patient comes from. If a child cries in your classroom, you let the kids work, you walk outside and sit on the floor with them, to get to know them, build that relationship that can trust you. So we're considered trusted individual or trusted adults. Now, I saw that writing and it captured my attention. This is where we are. The new apartheid in Africa. It's like you have people. I want to play Lester Tenney. Lester Tenney, he's not my guy. But Peter, he did a video that he posted yesterday. I didn't send it to you. Okay. And he said something very profound. Hopefully I can find it here and I can play it. Very, very profound. You know, again, Lester Tenney is not my guy, but whoa, okay. I'm gonna put this on Facebook really quickly and then I will play it. I will play it from there because I can't just pull it up. He was talking about the people that they hire. He was telling the Liberian government, he was telling Joseph Boakai, how do you get two accountants to be in the finance ministry and in a bank? Those are not the people who develop strategy. They are accountant. They're not into finance. They're not economists. They don't understand. So they got certain level of thinking. And I was like, okay, really? All right. So not only what I told you, these are people who they say they have been abroad, but really they're in that position because they're connected. They're not there because they can do the job. There's certain position that can be political, but when the nation survivor depends on it, you cannot make it political. So I think our role as diasporan is make the recommendation. Not only make recommendation, be honest with our leaders. You know, Peter, I was invited to speak at a Liberian event. When my name was called, most of the people, the leadership in the meeting, okay, they counter that she is, why you're bringing that woman here, she's controversial, people are not going to come. So the person who recommended me decided to show some of my video of my conversation. So when the person showed that, the man said to them, she's speaking on issue. Most of the people said, but she's speaking on issue. How is that a problem? How can that be a problem? She's speaking the truth. Is that not what we want? We want the truth. We want people that will stand up and speak up. That's exactly who I want to come and speak for us. That's how they confirmed, because they said the moment the flyer came out, I was out there and they were mad. So you and I talking, people will say, oh, she's rude. He's rude. We are rude telling them the truth. Take the rudeness from out of it. Follow the truth. How are we in America and supporting wrong in the homeland? How are we in America vying for jobs that we know we do not qualify because we will get it because they are our friends? So, Peter, the change will have to start from us. It have to start from being upright. It will have to start with transfer of knowledge or talent. Okay, those are things that we need to put in place. And holding the government accountable, bringing up idea, because we have traveled. We know that we don't have to re-engineer anything, but we can customize it. Your thought.
So here's my thought on that. First of all, character assassins are people you're going to experience in this.
Hmm.
Again, like I said before,
Hmm.
they almost have to be character assassins. Just like if someone coming up didn't acquire any skills, cannot work with their hands, don't have any skills, and in America, they test kids' reading levels. This is how they determine how much prisons are built. By the way, in the fourth
Yes.
in the fourth grade, right? They
Hmm.
look at their scores to check the test of reading levels, and they can kind of say, all right, percentage wise, about 8 to 10% of these people who historically have been here end up being criminals and they go to jail. So can we keep this prison? Do we need a second one? So they have to build it years in advance. So this is how they determine it. Okay.
You hear that?
Um, yeah, from the fourth grade.
Reading level. That's why it's
Um,
important for your
yes,
children to learn to read and learn their math.
because what happens is, yeah, in the math level, what happens is when a kid lacks certain skills and then get to high school, it becomes a turnoff, right? So they if they have parents who didn't prepare them or school system, when they get to high school, they become very apathetic when it comes to learning, and so therefore they're not going to pick up skills. But when they turn 18 years old, especially if you're a boy, you're not going to have a baby. The government's not going to be able to help you. You need to feed yourself. You're not in your mom's house anymore. You like Jordans, you got to buy yourself. Oh, you like girls. Oh, now you find out that women don't give a damn about how cute you are. They care about how you can help them survive.
No, we don't.
Yeah. Okay. Cute stops in high school. So this is
Mhm.
how their determination is made. So now these boys realize, oh snap, I need money. Now they start doing desperate stuff. Oh, I can sell this. I can do this scam. I can because you don't have any viable skills. Or the nerds from high school who went to college, now they become the cool guys, right? So the roles
Yep.
flip. So the character assassins are going to do what they're doing, just like the boys become desperate and commit crimes. The
Hmm.
character assassins have to be character assassins. Yes, Cindy, it is impolite for you to tell an old person, "You've known me long enough. I respect children. I don't disrespect anyone. I do not respect Joseph Boycott because of what he represents for my people and the people I care about and
Me
humanity."
too. Me too.
Okay,
That's what I told them the
I
other
would,
day. Me too.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't disrespect anybody. But you know what? You know what's rude? What's rude is you lying to people's faces and you giving them promises, and they're literally sinking in the middle of the ocean. And you telling them, "I'm going to be back for you," knowing that you're never coming back because you don't have any intentions of coming back.
No,
That
you
is
don't.
rude. You making fun of people who might be deported. That's rude. You saying you have this experience and you're going to make lives better and you can't. That's rude. You supporting a man who is the most vile, speaks of the private parts of our beautiful women and the
Yep.
mothers of our brilliant leaders, body parts. And he describes it in the most vile and vulgar way, and you calling him and saying, "Good job, keep it up." That is rude.
Yep.
You throwing
Very
rocks.
deceptive
Yes,
and
you throwing
inhumane.
stones and hiding your hands. That is rude. It's impolite. When they say you're rude, they're saying you're being impolite. Well, I'm not going to be polite to a scam artist that is hurting the lives of people. A scam artist who would not give a policy speech on the drug epidemic in the country or tell us how he plans on building a middle class. But yet he takes the lion's share of the money that we have. And you pretend like you're doing something. And anything you say to that man who's trying to hide behind the shield of his age is going to be impolite. And to them, they call it rude. And I don't mind being called rude. And if I'm being impolite because I'm pointing out the obvious, and then you think you're gonna disrespect or dehumanize me, No, I have children. I have a family. I'm gonna protect myself to the best of my ability. To so help me God, and I'll bring it to your doorstep. Call me whatever name you want. It doesn't matter. You cannot see me in combat and say, this man's a murderer. Or you cannot see me defending my family because you broke into my home and you're trying to kill us and I shoot you and be like, he's a murderer. Then call me a murderer, but I will do it every single time.
Every single time, because I'm defending my family. Hold on
Yes.
1 second, Peter. Let me play this for us so we can, and then we can close up on that. Yep, you're off tomorrow, correct? Tomorrow's President's Day. There you go. There you go, Peter. Listen up. This is Lester Cheney.
Where in this West Africa, you have your Minister of Finance and your central bank governor all accountants. Where? The reason why you have the field of economics is for a certain level of thinking. The reason why you have the field of accounting is for another level of thinking. But the economy is most suitable for an economist. The economy is most suitable and best managed by not just an ordinary economist, but a seasoned, well entrenched economist. It is not intended to denigrate the effort of the minister and the central bank governor. But it appears as if we ourselves are beating our drum of failure. And that will raise the eligibility criteria of the alternative. Hear me clear. If we dash the hopes of our people because we fail to address the burning macroeconomic issue, the bread and butter issue, it will elevate the status of the alternative. It will create an enabling environment for the alternative to think and believe that he came to rescue the rescuer. And we will have ourselves to blame. We will have ourselves to blame. You cannot manage this economy with $800 million. You cannot. The economy cannot be managed by prayers, nor prayer
That was in
band,
Peter area.
or people going to churches. No. You have sufficient resources in this country to change the narrative. You cannot run a country where Beer Mountain is exporting over 800 million US dollar worth of gold alone, and you are complaining of reaching up to $1 billion. Then something is tragically wrong with your circuit. Something is fundamentally wrong with your strategy. You have sufficient human capital formation to change that narrative. You have sufficient. And you are gambling. Liberians' hopes are dwindling because you have not created an environment to change their status. They are still poor. They are still unemployed. You have a minister who issuing over-the-counter work permit for jobs Liberians can do, and you still keep him as a minister.
Peter, I'm going to stop here. Let's in closing. In
Yes.
closing.
Yes.
Yes,
So again, the theme of
they're
today
not ready.
was the theme of today was the role of diaspora and Liberian.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even Liberians back home, when say diaspora, it doesn't have to be United States or Western nations. It be people who
Mm-hmm.
travel to just next door to Guinea, their country.
Guinea, Rwanda. Ghana.
Rwanda. They're
Mm-hmm.
just those of us who are exposed to something different. Listen to what he lesson 10 and just says 800 million in gold alone. 800
Yep.
million in gold. Gold, the one resource that you probably should never sell. We're
Yep.
exporting 800 million per year. So if 800 million is being reported, how much is actually being taken out? Okay, that's how my mind works. How much is actually being taken out if you're reporting 800 million? Okay, I'm thinking over 2 billion if they're reporting only 800 million. We need serious leaders. The diasporan people need to understand that the fight for the souls of our country and our future is not going to come about by every time by having these measured, calm talks. The desperate are going to fight for what they have and where they are. They are. This is their livelihood. You cannot take their food out their mouths because they see any kind of honesty, the changes that we need. Okay. Listen to man says 800 million, and then you talking about getting to a billion, just one sector in gold alone, you're already at 800 million.
Mm-hmm.
Our budget should be well around 15 billion.
And
Okay.
you know what, Peter? Because all of the government officials, they're silent partnered. They're getting their cut in the back.
With the exploiters. Yes.
Yes.
So the point that we are making is we need just think about what you just said, Yasendi. The government officials are complicit and they are co-conspirators, right, in the exploitation of our resources. Do you think those people are going to sit by and say, okay, change the system?
No.
No, you're going to come across as being controversial. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
come across as being impolite. By
Mm-hmm.
God, you're going to come across as being rude because you're speaking truth to power. And to be honest with you, I'm okay with that. And we need to be comfortable with confronting each other and
Yep.
speaking the truth. If we don't do that, then it is what it is. So anyway, thank you again for this conversation. We'll continue to have it about our great country, and hopefully some of us will wake up and start this true revolution, the pitchfork, and change the government, change the system,
Mm-hmm.
and give our country a chance.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. To the people of Liberia, thank you so much for listening in. I know some of you will start watching later, but we're here. We'll keep building the platform. Thank you for tuning in. We have a role to play as diasporan. We have the knowledge. We have skill to transfer. We have our stand. We are not desperate. So we should be the one who stand up for what is just for our nation and redirect the nation. We need to come up with a plan instead of allowing people to dictate to us. That's why some of us were not in Washington, but that's a conversation to have on another day. Good night, Peter. I'm going to go finish my meeting. Thank you so much. God bless. Good night, everyone. Where is this? Say, where's that? Where is the